Hi and welcome to the video. This time I'm just going to be doing an abstract using the pieces of paper that I've made in the past. So I've used loads of papers that I've made in the past, and there are videos showing how I make these papers. So I will put in the description below all the links to the videos of how these papers are made. And then from the collection of all the pieces that I've got and compiled, I can make these abstracts. Right, thanks for watching again. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to like and subscribe, and see you again. I started with a background that I'd painted so that it was all mottled different greys, and then I thought I'd use this really nicely textured paper. It's 240-gram cartridge paper, painted in thick impasto black acrylic, so it's got some really nice textures on. Then it's just a question of responding to what you've got and see what it is you like to go together, to put together. I tried some lettering and then decided against the lettering. I wanted it more abstract. I have all these beautiful papers that I've done in the past. This is 240-gram cartridge paper, speckled with different greys that I'd made in the past. I'm really lucky because I've got all these beautiful pieces. That one was textures applied to thick watercolour paper and then painted. And these are Momigami papers, and the one I've just put down was a Joomchi piece that was mulberry paper that has been felted together. And you're just thinking about the composition and how it's all going to go together and what it is you want, and you respond to the pieces you've got and how they look together. The Joomchi mulberry paper was just lovely. I took off this sort of harsh edge, the deckled edges on that one. Oh, and the other thing was when you tear the large piece of paper that's been painted in the impasto heavy acrylic black, if you tear it one way, there is just an acrylic edge, and if you tear it the other way, there's a lovely white deckled edge which you can paint. So there you go, there's a white deckled edge, and I will be painting these, putting some colour on them at some point. Not now, because everything seems to be sort of black and white and browns, but as I go on I get more red, and then I start adding a light blue. Again, it's how the picture responds and how it speaks to you. So I make up the composition first, sort of try and make decisions about where things are going to go, and then I will glue it down, and often I photograph it as I go through so that I know where things are going to go, because of course you have to glue down the stuff that is on the bottom of it all first, and then glue down the things that are laying overlapping the base pieces. And once you've taken off the top pieces, you forget what's on the bottom. So it's a good idea to take photographs as you go along to try and remind yourself what's happening. I use the acrylic medium, and I'm using a gloss medium here just to stick it down with, knowing that it has proven archival qualities that aren't going to damage the painting over time. And it's just a question of getting it sort of subtle enough that it sits down properly. You know, once it's wet, it has a bit more flexibility. And you can see there that I've painted the torn white paper edges in a light blue and a cream and a red, and it sort of goes better with the picture. Make sure everything's really nicely settled down as you go through. And here it's just a question of making decisions about the composition, and it itself will tell you what it wants as you go along. You just really have to respond to the picture as it happens. Although I say that, I have done a couple of these in the past and I really like them. I like the dark colour, the sort of contrasts, tonal contrasts between the two sides of the painting. One seems to lead into the other, and the soft gentle tones give you a rest from the heavy tones, and they add a sort of language, a sort of crescendo of a sentence or something to it. The little piece of holy paper there is a piece of mulberry lacy mulberry paper that I bought and painted, again in the same sort of colours, to match this picture or to go with this picture. And decisions are not easy. I think I did actually resolve this at one point. I liked it sort of quite plain, and then I got over carried away with it, you'll see. And now you just keep responding to what you've already done. So that was a piece of lacy Momigami paper painted. There's a piece of Momigami paper, Joomchi paper, and you just rearrange and play, and keep rearranging and playing until you're happy. I'd got a piece of textured paper there that I'm just adding colour to. So again, take the harshness down of the paper down and add colours that are going to go with the picture. And even those torn edges were really interesting. So you could just touch the edges and they were really beautiful results. There's a piece of mulberry paper, lacy mulberry paper that I'd bought. And those are the piece of Joomchi'd mulberry paper. So I had felted as the whole, probably 4 pieces together that were all collaged together. No glue, you just felt them. There is a video for that where I show you how to felt the papers. Really lovely effect the felted papers are. And all these papers are in loads of other videos which are in the description below, so you can refer back to them, so you can compile a whole series of your own papers. However, as I've said in other videos, what happens is you never have the right colour and you always end up doing just a few extra, just a little bit more. And that's the bought mulberry paper, lacy mulberry paper, that's been painted in light blues and reds and creams to fit in with the rest of the painting. And I'm just trying out different ways of using it and whether I like it or not. The red piece is a piece of Joomchi'd mulberry paper, red, cream and orange. And what I really liked about it was that when you separated it off, when you glue it down and separated it off, it has these filaments that come off it. This bit isn't so evident, the filaments aren't so evident, it becomes more evident in the next part. And I'm going to use that more and more because the filaments are beautiful. This bit's more where the filaments happen, not gluing this bit down, but the little red bits at the top. So I glue down that lovely geometric Joomchi piece. And again, I'm tearing to reveal the torn edges. And there's me just adding a little bit of acrylic to the edge of the torn edge. So again, you use colours that's going to enhance your picture, that's going to sort of tie it all together. And now these are the little bits. So I separate them off, make them thin, allow them to be filamenty. In fact, sort of enhance it. They do it of their own accord. And again, they have these lovely, it's almost like a paint stroke, a brush stroke, but it's not, is it? You aren't quite sure how it works, how it's happened. And this was a piece of Momigami 240 gram paper that I had painted in black acrylic and then crunched up and then added a bit of colour. So you've got the suggestion of colour there coming through the black, like reds and blues. Paint the deckled edges again, the torn white edges. And add red to the other side, I think I do here. Again, tearing the filaments so I've got them all fluffy. The whole thing about mulberry paper is that it's made of long filaments instead of pulp. So it has this different quality. A beautiful paper and very strong. So I've got a whole combination. I've got Momigami papers painted in acrylics first and then Momigami'd, and then I add paint to them. I've got papers that you have splashed with colour and allowed it to run through the water and be absorbed by the paper. I've got textured wallpapers. I've got lacy mulberry paper that I bought, and I've got Joomchi'd mulberry paper. So there's a whole load of different techniques all being incorporated into this video. And now it's just deciding how I'm going to finish off the composition, how it's all going to pull and tie together before I glue the last bits down. And even then, when I finished, I wasn't too happy with the results. I was comparing it to the other abstracts that I'd compiled, and it sort of didn't have the texture and the depth that I wanted, or the interest. And the lacy papers that I'd made in a previous video were absolutely perfect to add to this. I'm very sorry, I stuck all this down and then it was hanging around in the studio for a bit, and I had a real think about it, did a bit of a Rothko and allowed the picture to sort of be absorbed and considered for a while, and I really needed something else on it, so I worked on it and didn't film it. But all I did really in the end was stick on the lacy papers that I'd made, painted in black and red. So I'll show you that next. So here's the finished piece, just so that you can see what it looks like, and then I've attempted to do some close-ups. On the right is two pictures that I'd done that were similar, using pieces that we'd done in videos beforehand. I hope this isn't too confused and complicated, but you can stop it and see what there is there. In the left picture, there is some really lovely bought lacy mulberry paper that works really, really nicely. Thank you for watching, and hopefully see you again. All the best.